Hello there, let's cut that off there. Hello there, good afternoon. I'm looking over here. I'm Rob, welcome to Rob's Models, and this is actually my first, well actually technically second. This morning I had a little bit of a 5-minute play, but technically first proper modelling related live stream on Rob's Models on this YouTube channel. Of course, those that know, I've been doing live streaming on Twitch for probably getting on for almost a year, but well over 6 months, although haven't done much in the last month, to be perfectly honest. But thought Twitch and YouTube are two different beasts. You know, there's definitely a bit of crossover with them. But I thought what we'll do is do a few bits, because sometimes I do reviews more on YouTube, summaries of builds, sort of more of the edited highlights, and then on Twitch I might be doing more long form. So I thought try and do a bit of an amalgamation between the two. So today I thought I'm going to look at what the next proper build's going to be and do it as an unboxing, and that is this, which is the Supermarine Spitfire by Tamiya Mk.1 in 1:48 scale, and this is reference number 61119 if I recall off the top of my head. Yeah, there we are. Yes, there we are. Hang on, there we go. Yeah, 61119, 1:48 scale. So this, actually this should be pretty good, because this come out in, when did it come out? 2018. So only 3 years ago now. So it is, in all intents and purposes, quite a modern kit. Would have been computer aided design and all that sort of thing that went into it. And it come out around about the same time as, which I did actually make live on Twitch, and I have done a summary of it, unboxing on YouTube, which you can look back to find. In the replays I'll try and put little links for various bits popping up in places, but this was the Tamiya 1:48 scale Bf109 G-6. So yeah, this was a really nice build, actually. Went together really nice. I remember doing the unboxing of it, and I kind of wasn't massively impressed as I started doing it. There wasn't a huge amount of detail. I think I was looking at the top surfaces. The fuselage hasn't got a huge amount of detail in there, but it wasn't until I started getting to the underside of it, started doing the internal parts. And with this one, I won't go through it all completely, but well, basically you can take the engine cowlings off and show the engine off. Decide how you want to show it, and take more parts off so you can have it more in flight. Or I mean, one of the annoying things is it didn't come with harnesses, so I did have to scratch build some harnesses out of some lead wire, but that wasn't a big deal. But that was about literally the only downside. Really nice detail to it, and it took the wash, took the weathering really nicely. And this come out around about the same time as this did, actually. So I'm assuming they're going to be quite similar. Actually, what was nice with this one is it actually come with masking set as well for the cockpit, which, to be honest, very rectangular, so it wasn't hugely needed. And I did actually mask up the inside. First time I've ever done it on a cockpit was to mask up the interior of the canopy, just because it was we knew it was going to be quite open. It's going to be quite visible. So that, actually, I'll pop back up there, because if I don't, I will knock it and it will go flying, and then I'll cry, which won't be good for a live stream. Well, probably would be good for you watching, but not for me. So here we are. This is the 1:48 scale Tamiya Supermarine Spitfire Mk.1. As I said, it's the 2018 tooling, so it should be quite good. Now, I've got to admit, the seals on here are, have they been? No, I thought, no. I thought I'd opened this for some reason at one point. So when I first got it, it was a Christmas present, and I had a feeling that I'd had a sneaky peek in, but no, that's why I can't remember it at all. It is absolutely completely sealed, so we are cutting through this. And the plan is that I am going to be making this as well. What I like to do is not just to review kits, but to actually make them. So let's actually bring you down so you can see what we've got in here. So as we break the tape on there, so that's quite exciting. We'll flip it over. Actually, before we open it up, let's just actually have a look. So we've got the box art, so you can see there's the two Spitfires there, side by side, and yeah, it's going to be basic. Your green and your brown on the top, and your light grey with your sort of sky colour on the bottom. It's going to go through the colours there. So actually, let's look at that first of all. So got it there, and again, as already mentioned, it's item number 61119. It's just got there 119, but it's the full reference number 61119. Bf109. And it says here we got one figure. Actually, the 109 didn't have a figure, and 3 kinds of markings included. Now, the 109 did have 3 different types of markings. Oh, and for the one on the box art, we can see there's the one of the markings. I mean, to be honest, it's looking like that all of the markings, if it's the one on there, are all going to basically, it's just going to be different decals on them, but they're all going to be having the same paint job on there pretty much. And what's actually quite nice is we've got a picture there of the actual model, just a close up of the cockpit, and you can see that side door being opened up, and you can see that they have actually got harnesses in there as well. So hopefully it's not just the decal ones that we had in the 109, which is why I had to scratch build some. And here we also have here a little bit excellent detail thanks to included photo etched parts, recreating seatbelt and radiator components, plus moulding stickers to depict canopy, knockout panel and fuselage side panels. Okay, so we have a few little bits here which are going to be included. So we have actually got photo etch harnesses, which to be honest is going to be a real benefit over the 109. That's what that 109 really needed. Couldn't believe it in 1:48 scale, being an opened up cockpit, and it was just relying on no figure. And oh no, there was a figure. I must admit, no, there was the figure. I remember actually getting distracted. I'd said there was no figure, and then there was. But the thing is, the figure in there was full on breathing apparatus and everything as well. The weird thing about that is if you're going to have it displayed, so you've got the engine open, unless you're actually doing it in flight, if you're doing it gears down, whether the engine open or not, the pilot won't have all the breathing apparatus and everything on. So it was a little bit odd that the pilot was full on, all ready for that. So it was a little bit bizarre with that one actually, I felt, especially as most people will be doing the open, so therefore you won't have the pilot in there with all the kit on, and therefore why didn't they have the harnesses, the seat belts in there? But it looks like we have in this one. So let's open it up again. So bring it back onto there, see what we got. We have, ta-da! Okay, well, it's not going to be massive. We can see it is quite small. It's going to be pretty much comparable size to the 109, and actually we've got here wingspan is going to be 235 mil. So and fuselage length is basically 19 millimeters. So we're not looking massive, but about the same size as that 109. So then, what have we got in the box? 1, 2, 3. Actually, just sort of 3 main sprues. That's I thought there'd be a bit more than that. Actually, that's definitely less than what was in the 109. Actually, then we got the decals, and we've got a little photo etch, and also the masking set as well. Clear parts. And then instructions and those bits. So we'll pop that there, work our way through these and reload the box as we go through. So let's start off with tech tips. Always makes me laugh reading that. We'll come to that in a moment. So here we have a little bit more information about the Spitfire. So you got the emergency knockout panel and rudder. It's basically telling you radio access hatch, what the different bits are actually, which is nice. I know actually sometimes in the instructions with Tamiya they do actually tell you which part you're building, and we do actually have little information on there. So the actual specifications about its length, wingspan, takeoff power, maximum speed, those sort of things, and armament. So we do actually have a little bit of history on that, which would be nice. Always nice just to have a read of that sometimes whilst you're waiting for paint to dry, those sort of things, just so you can see what you're actually making there. And now we come to the main instructions. So this is not open. Okay, this is done as a book. I thought this was going to be one of those ones where Constantina's out. So bring you in a touch closer on there. So got the picture, which is in the artwork. It's a black and white book, which is why they give you the colour ones there. Again, just telling you the wingspan, recommended tools, and then starting off It does actually give the options for the canopy closed or the canopy open, where you've got the pilot in there. And what I will be doing is I'll take photographs of this and the sprues, and they'll be going onto the Rob's Models website. That's robsmodels.co.uk. So once this is reviews up and posted, I'll do a write-up of it and post that on robsmodels.co.uk, and with that I'll also be putting the higher resolution photographs. But we can see there's a few things that do need to be trimmed off, the different variants. So just to see, the first variant is going to be the A option, which is 610 Squadron, then you've got number 65 Squadron, and then 19 Squadron. All pretty much have the same camouflage, not complete the same pattern, but is going to be the same colourings. Main difference is going to be the reference numbers on there and possibly a few bits of armament. But we can see we have got a few little parts that will need to be taken off, depending on what variant you're doing. Colour of it, so it's really going to be that internal green. Building up details, and this is one of the things that I found with the 109, is it actually took a while to really start putting it together, because the first things we're doing was detailing up the interior, the cockpit, and painting all the little individual parts, and that actually took quite a few sessions until it actually really started to come together. And I think the same is going to be, we've got different variants for the interior, different controls, painting up fire extinguishers, those sort of tanks, cockpit parts, coming through, building up the instrument panel. Then we've got control stick, more instrument panel, building up the structure for the seat. So we still haven't actually we're then more attaching the pilot seat to the cockpit that we've done, dropping in the pilot harnesses if we're not putting the pilot in there, how they're going to be threading through to the bulkhead at the back. And it's not until 12 that we're actually putting the two halves of the cockpit together and getting that done. So it's, again, quite a long session of building up that interior part, and I'm really thinking for that, you probably, if you're going to want to be displaying it, you probably won't be putting the pilot in there, because the pilot's probably going to be covering up quite a lot of that other detail in there. Let's see here. So now we've got the two halves of the fuselage together. Unlike the 109, there's no seam line going down the back where you could, so you will actually have to do a bit of filling, no doubts. But although really nice fit, barely any filler was needed with the 109, so I'm assuming it'll be the same. One thing I did notice with the 109, and the same with this, is like the rudder, no individual, and the rudder and the ailerons at the back. I had to cut through to pose them. They're not posable. Some of the other bits will be, probably. We'll see. Wheel wells, get the wings together, cross struts, then that looks like actually they're not posable. They looks like they're going to be going just straight in. With the 109, actually let's get the 109 down again just for comparison. So these, the flaps there and the radiator coolant flaps, everything there, those are posable, and also flaps on the leading edge, those are posable. We had two options, either in or out. I think some of them, I think the main flaps themselves, there were two different sorts, especially for the where the radiator outlets are. I think for those you could trim the tabs off if you wanted them flush in there. But with the ailerons at the back and the rudder, I did actually have to do a little, had to cut those and the little tab in there, bend them, and it looks like if you're wanting posability, I'll pop that up there because I might be coming back to that again. If you're wanting posability with the Spitfire, it's looking like you're going to have to be doing that. I mean, no big deal, to be honest, but just those little location tabs, you're going to have to sort of put a bend in them, gently bend them before you locate them. So not so much in the way of options or for posability options there. Then, yeah, a little bit more coolant radiators. Then I think that was going to be some of the photo etch. So you've got a bit of photo etch going on in there as well. That'll be nice as this all starts coming together. No engine in this one. The 109 had a really nice detail for the option for the engine, and this, there's not the only hint of engine you've got is the exhaust. And again with the 109, actually let's just do it I mean, I assumed it was going to be similar actually. Right, it's been a while. If I could just loosen that off. There we go. So that I'll just take that off a bit. See, this cowling would come off. Cowling on the bottom comes off. And then, come on. Okay, not wanting to break things. But okay, well, you can see the video of this one. But there's then other parts that come onto there to show the engine off. And it's actually quite a nice detailed engine in there. So you can sort of vary it. What's quite nice, I thought, with that is you can sort of do up the engine, and if you're then not really happy with how it turns out because there's quite a lot of detail to go on in there, you could just sort of hide it away and no one's going to know the difference. But no option for that one, which actually does surprise me. I thought that would that was held on with magnets as well. So no option for that. Gear down. They only give the option for gear down, I've noticed with Tamiya kits, but it's quite simple just to work out where you'd snap some bits off to put it in the gear up position, which is odd because the pilots are obviously flying how they do them. Then we've got the masking set and the tip for how to mask them as well. Looks like it's just going to be the outside. So got the canopy all done. Coming over to here, a few different options for the aerials. Put the prop on. So I think there's a little rubber poly cap for the prop, so that will still be able to spin. And then just showing you black and white the underside for the stencils and side stencils. So actually, there's a lot less plastic in this kit than there was for the 109. We'll see. We've got here. This is nice in colour, and this actually will be 1:1 scale actually, so this is quite nice. So you can see the main colour call outs you've got there, and in actual fact it is looking to mix the Tamiya paint. So the green is a combination of XF56 and XF7, and again for the brown there's going to be a mixture. But what I will be using is the Vallejo Model Air. I've got those. I've done that's what I used for the 109 and also when doing the Mosquito recently as well, and they're quite nice. They do I'm not going to say they're the best paints on the market at the moment. I think they might have been superseded, but I do quite like how they do go down. They go down nicely. Something you do, I mean, being acrylic, you do sometimes have a few issues needing to, they dry on the tip a little bit and you start getting a few speckles, but as long as you mix them up, add in, especially in warmer weather, a little bit of the flow improver, that really does help, and then give it a good 24 hours to dry for it to cure properly. Before anything less than 24 hours, it kind of scratches off, and of course seal it in okay. But that's what I'm going to be using. So all the colours needed there are going to be in that set, and that was about 20 quid. And obviously different things. One of the annoying things is doing the Mosquito. They don't have all the colours for the Mosquito, but yeah, that was fine. Actually shows you where you've kind of got aerial cables, those sort of things on there, which aren't actually detailed in the instructions. So that's the one which is on the box art, and the two variants. So that's the Battle of Britain 1940 from 610 Squadron. Oh, actually, I said about the underside. Actually, this is where the real difference is going to be. Top colours are going to be the same, but then here we've got more of the grey colour on the underside, and then we've got the Operation Dynamo one, which was the Dunkirk, and that's well, I forgot the colour for that, white and black, still with the grey, and then it's got more of that. What colour? I can't. My brain's just. I've just suddenly gone verbally colourblind there. You get the idea. Okay. So anyway, enough waffle there. Let's actually look at the sprues, and I've got to say I'm not massively impressed for the price of the kit. How much plastic we get. So I'm hoping that it's going to be good. Actually, before we go into the sprues, let's tease it a little bit more and look at the this we've got here. Let's bring it back down a bit more. So it's actually quite a nice big. Okay, it looks like there've been staples that have been removed, but it's just sort of heat staples we've got there. Right, sheet of backing, we'll leave that in there. So decals themselves. Tamiya decals often find are quite thick, but I do find that once you kind of give them a couple of goes with the microset and the microsole to bed down, they do go down quite nicely, and then they do, but they're really thick when they first go on, but they do tend to conform quite well, but they're not the best. I've been finding Airfix decals on their latest kits have been, I think, the market leaders at the moment, my personal opinion from what I've made. But we'll see, we've kind of got the 3 types there, and then the standard ones. So mainly for the markings, you've got the DWK and with the roundels. You can see actually for there we go, the red in the middle that goes on the white is a separate decal. Okay, but I haven't done that for all of them, but just for the ones when they go on the white. So you will have to a little bit lining up. You can also see we've got some bits where they've got cutouts there, where there are sort of lumps and bumps that are going to be coming through there for some of those. And not as many decals actually as the 109, but that was really annoying. There was lots and lots of little minute ones which you don't really see. But no, I've got to say they do feel a bit thick, definitely textured to them, but I've got to say they should go down quite nicely. If a little bit thick at first, a little bit of microset, a little bit of microsole, and that should do them nicely. What do we have in here? I can't get in. Come on. I think that was glue and sellotape. Right. So we have here, first of all, these are masking. Now with the 109, these were quite simple because that was just very rectangular and square. These haven't been cut, so we'll have to cut them, and there's definitely some fine sort of marks there actually. So they do show you which way they're going to be going, but yeah, I guess some of those, some of that, it got cutouts, so it's going to allow it to conform around. But nice that they put that in there actually. I do find if you have got the option, I mean obviously if they were pre-cut it'd be a lot easier, but being able to just carefully still use a ruler. Don't try to do it freehand, especially on the straight parts. You still want to use a ruler for that. And then we have here some little transfers as well, and these go on the, there's a little on the sort of little opening sort of part, so these actually sort of transfers that go onto the clear part, so that'll just give the illusion of that little little hatch there in the canopy. So it's nice little bit of detail like that actually. Pop that back in there, and we also have the photo-etch. To bend. Oh no. Okay. Already started to unpeel itself. Very odd. And a photo-etch. Here we go. So it's nice for Tamiya to put in a bit of photo-etch. What do we have in here? Okay, this actually reminds me, this is actually quite thick. This reminds me of, I'll just grab, I've got one of those, these like Metal Earth type things, got a space shuttle sort of there. And actually, I just need to get around to, okay, it is thinner, but not much thinner. So if you're familiar with these sort of Metal Earth type kits, which people think their kids get, oh god, they would rip your fingers to pieces. Also, they will absolutely ruin any photo-etch tools and stuff you got, because they really are quite thick. So it's not that thick, but it's still quite a chunk, and it's obviously sort of done in steel, sort of not the stainless steel, not your brass as you would do from Edward, but not as finely done probably as an Edward photo-etch aftermarket set. However, the fact that they've actually got harnesses in there means you don't have to scratch make or purchase ones. Few other little bits as well, radiator grills, just a few bulkhead bits. So actually, I was going to say that is a welcome addition. Probably not the greatest bit of photo etch I've ever seen, however, still better than nothing. And I mean, the idea with these kits, I believe, is what Tamiya were trying to do with this and the 109, was to include enough in there and have enough detail in the kit so that you don't actually need to go back and or get extra bits. So let's work, actually let's start start with a larger part. So, as I said, 3 main plastic sprues, each individually bagged, so if anything were to come off. So let's see. Again, I'm going to take photos of these, and the photos will be put up on the robsmodels.co.uk. So I'll do the write up a bit of a review, put the high-res pictures along with the video as well, and I'll put a link to that in the descriptions. But robsmodels.co.uk, and I'm sure if you search for Spitfire, you will find it. But wings, so the bottom part, one big lump, and I've got to say we have got some very fine, just trying to catch it in the light, not too sure quite how much, but there definitely we have got some fine riveting detail in there, fine panel lines, and those will take a wash very nicely. As long as you don't slap the paint on too thick, you should have some nice detail, and little hatches, rivets all around the hatches, so that is looking very nice. It's going to be a bit like the Mosquito and also the 109. Not so much detail on the top surfaces, but when you flick it over upside down, that's when it's all going to come to life. And again, we can see here, not so many hatches on the top. It is a more smoother surface, not so many rivets. Of course, what would happen is they put putty over the rivets anyway to make it more streamlined. That's famously sort of done with the Spitfire. But it is looking quite nice, and instrument panel there, not a huge amount of detail. Each instrument has just got a raised bevel around there, so I'm sure with a little bit of careful dry brushing that will bring it out. One of the things I will check, which I forgot to check on the decals, is instrument panels. And actually we don't have instrument panels, just dials actually. So what would be happening is you'd be painting the instrument panel itself in the cockpit green, then just putting the dials on, so you got the black dials on the green background, and I'm sure a little bit of dry brushing on the raised bevels once the decals have set down will really help. But just, yeah, little there. Yeah, we have got some nice bit of detail on some of these bits and pieces. Again, it's just a shame that you haven't got the options to have flaps up and down. It really is actually quite surprising with that, just how little got there. Oh, and I just noticed in there, I won't take that, but in the poly bag you got 2, only one I would have thought would be needed, but for the poly cap for the rotor, the prop, so that would then just be a sort of a push fit. It makes it easier for painting and things when you can take it off. So let's go on to the main fuselage halves. So this is the second sprue. I've got to say it is quite crisply moulded as well. On the, it's quite a sort of a sharp sort of plastic. It's so it does take the detail quite nicely. You've got to say no. You have got some ejection pins just on the inside. Just check that on there. Yeah, you've got ejection pins, but they're not sort of showing through. No distortions or anything. They're not big. Oh, no flash whatsoever on here. I'd be very surprised if there was. I forgot to mention it because normally, you'd really only mention flash when you see it, but there's no flash at all. Ejection pins all seem to be out the way of the cockpit, so we've got a whole host of small ones here, but on that middle part where it would be visible looking in, they're all hidden away. And again, some of these inside on the cockpit walls, that's yeah, maybe a couple very small ones, but again, that's actually going to be buried away behind the seat, so anywhere where it's going to be visible, no ejection pins. And that does look quite fine detail. Again, around the hatches, little rivet detail, so again, that's going to take the wash quite nicely. Just to highlight it. Final main sprue of plastic, and this looks like, here we've got some flaps and rudders and internal parts. So actually what immediately jumps out is this this part here where the seat assembly, the cockpit assembly is going to go on to. And that just jumped out from a mile away. I don't know how well it's going to show on the camera, but it's some really, really fine details in there. Yeah, individual sort of rivets, sort of like the holes taken out. That is actually very nicely done. So yeah, so again, putting a wash in there, that's really going to give that quite a nice effect on there. And again, looking at some of these parts here, side of the seat, again, sort of like riveting, you're kind of getting that effect. Actually, you might want to, if you really wanted to go crazy, would be to get probably like a 0.5 millimeter drill, and you could, I think, just drill out, because that would be where the holes are taken out, just for weight saving. There's a few areas where I think actually you could probably just paint and use a black wash just to get in there. Or you probably could drill some of those out if you really wanted to go crazy on there. The pilot actually hasn't got the mask over his face, so his face is hanging down. So if you did want to have it so it looked like he's sort of sat there before startup, hands are actually on his knees, not on the stick, so it would be a little bit odd for an in-flight one. So he's sort of in the position where he's just sort of casually, you know, waiting to go off in the sortie, sat in the cockpit maybe, waiting for the warning siren to go. But got a little bit of a seam line actually on the wheels, but a little swipe over with a sanding stick should take that off. But I've got to say, pretty pleased with how that is looking for what there is there. Not massively impressed by how much. Thought there's going to be a lot more in here, to be perfectly blunt. And we come to the final sprue, which is the clear one, and actually already that is looking quite nice. Now it looks like the variants, there's two different versions. There we are. So that is looking very nice. Yeah, so we've got different options is probably the best way to put it. Different variants, I think, whether in the open and closed position. So if you got it open, then you're going to be using one set. But what we have actually got there is that little oval. I don't know if that's going to make it out, just where that little hatch is on the side of the canopy. We're going to put that little transfer on there, just to, you know, make it look like there's that little side window, little side vent. But I've got to say, considering it is a, you know, bubble, so to speak, there is actually very little distortion. It definitely got a shine to it. It looks like it's already been polished up. I mean, it wouldn't have been polished, but the molds are going to be very, very highly polished, because there's not much distortion at all going through there. So even if you do have the canopy in the closed position, you're still going to be having, you know, a good view into the cockpit. So if you've got that pilot in there and he's in flight, you're still going to want to make sure you do the pilot well. So that I think that pretty much sums up what we got there. So that's that is an overview of the Tamiya Supermarine Spitfire Mk.1, reference number 61119. I'm going to be building this, not too sure which option I'll go for. What I might do, because I do quite like that underside colour, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's the, is it the duck egg blue? I think so. Yeah, I think it's the duck egg blue. I'm not too keen on that Operation Dynamo one with the black and the white. I know it's quite striking, but for some reason doesn't really click with me, and the other one was just a bit grey. Seems a bit more colourful, so I'll probably go for that one, which is on the box art. Should be quite a quick build. Most of that is actually going to be spent doing the internal, and I think what they've probably done, especially where they've got photo etch parts for it as well, looking at some of these bits, I think quite a lot, you know, we got 12 parts, wasn't it, before we actually even get around to putting the fuselage halves together. So yeah, we see you've got the photo etch going in there. So there's, yeah, quite a lot of detail going on inside, not a massive amount on the outside, but what there is quite fine. What just surprises me is how basically there's no options apart from choosing what variants you're making. They're all very similar, just slight, more subtle differences. Mainly it's going to be the different colour underside is actually going to be the main variant, what you're going to be doing, bar a few other little tweaks. It's surprising how little options there are, and for posability. So if you do want to have some posability, if you do want to have, if you're having it where you've got it so the ailerons are going to be dropped and the flaps are, you know, dropped and rudder, you know, things kicked over, rudders kicked over, that sort of thing, like it probably would be more naturally parked up, you are going to have to be doing, not major, but you might just have to get the razor saw out just to cut a few bits off and re-stick them on again at a slightly opposed angle. That does surprise me, and also surprises me that there's no internal for the. I would have thought that we would have had the option to have removed a cowling to show off the Merlin engine. So they've got none of that, which does make me think that if you actually want to, if you do want a model to model, I would say for the time being, until I've made it, that 109 looks a lot more value for money. This didn't have any photo etch, but for how quick it was just to knock up some harnesses, that I would probably, but we'll see what they go like. Let's build it up, because again, I wasn't massively impressed with the 109 until I actually made it, until I was like halfway through making it, and I was going through the slog of doing the interior part and the engine. When it started coming together, and once that weathering wash went on there, and all of a sudden all those little details all started coming out, it then got quite exciting. Fingers crossed it'll be same with this, but I've got to say at the moment, not massively impressed. I have no doubt though, no doubt this is going to make a cracking Spitfire. What I'm more sort of not so impressed about is it just seems to be there's more that could be done to really level it up. I think the idea what Tamiya is trying to do with these is to do them in a way, this and the 109, do them so that you didn't need anything else. You could literally buy this and have a full, really detailed Spitfire and really detailed 109. You didn't have to go down the aftermarket route. So they've put in the photo etch on that one, real detailed engine in the other one. If you wanted to, you probably could do a little bit of scratch building on things, but no sort of having to spend money. I guess that's what they're trying to say. And it does just seem with that they probably cut a corner by not having that cowling open, which does surprise me. There's a lot less plastic in this box, a lot less sprues, and a lot less options than what there was for the 109. But on the flip side, you're probably going to be making one of the market leaders of the Spitfires. And I guess if you did want to go down the aftermarket route, then you could then sort of, get some of those engine sort of cowlings, do some of those bits. Well, I think the real piece de resistance, as I say with that, is going to be the interior in doing that cockpit. It seems that they put a lot of effort into putting that cockpit in there with the photo etch. So I think that's really going to be their main sort of selling point, what Tamiya have done there. So that's going to be my next build. Hopefully going to be probably what I might try doing is live streaming it, maybe not like their entire thing, but live stream it on YouTube. Still got some bits that I'm going to be doing on Twitch that I need to get around to. I know I just haven't got around to it. I've been a bit busy for the last couple of weeks and just haven't done any modelling whatsoever. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you've enjoyed this. This has been a bit different doing it as a live stream as well. So obviously what happened is this will still stay up so that you can watch it and not be so edited as what sort of like some of the other videos can be, so you can actually see what I'm sort of going through. Hopefully I've covered everything. If there's something I've forgotten, mention it in the comments. I'll try to get back, and then of course watch the build of it as well. I'll be still doing some more bits over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/robsmodels as well. Still got things to be doing on there. And as I said, pop over to robsmodels.co.uk. What I will do in the next tonight or tomorrow is take photos, high resolution photos, and then actually put them on the web page along with embedding this video in there as well. So if it's something you're looking at doing, trying to hold things up to the camera, you kind of get an idea for it. But sometimes actually zooming in and actually taking your time to look at a photo is a lot better. So I think we will call that it for today. So hopefully over the next couple of days, I'm going to be live stream building on this on YouTube. That's the plan. Probably won't be doing the whole thing because otherwise you'll literally have to sit through and watch hours of it. Not expecting people to be watching these so much live. If people do happen to spot that I'm live, drop in, say hello in the comments. You can see how things go wrong. But then what will probably happen is, they'll still be up there for people to watch kind of in their own time. So effectively, I'll be putting them out in real time. Some of the more tedious parts, I'll probably just get on with doing. You don't need to live, if I'm just sort of sticking a load of primer on stuff, no need to live stream that, I don't think. But if you want to, let me know. So I've been Rob. Thanks very much for watching Rob's Models. Hope you have enjoyed this live stream of Tamiya's 1 to 48 scale Supermarine Spitfire Mk.1, and that's reference number 61119. Look forward to building it and look forward to catching up with you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Thanks very much.